Okay, in this video we're going to talk about the deleted scene in Star Trek Discovery that was just released. In a moment. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and on this channel we talk about science fiction programs like The Expanse and Lost in Space and The Orville and Star Trek Discovery like we're doing today. On this situation though, I have kind of a wonder about the release of the video, which will be in the description below. And it was a deleted scene from Star Trek Discovery, which was supposedly of the Emperor, who was posing as Captain Georgiou, who was freed and left on Kronos, who now owns the brothel that we saw her in last time, and she is invited to join Section 31, which has been established before. So there are a number of things that bother me about this, and we'll go through it. First of all, Section 31 was brought up in Deep Space Nine and was later fleshed out during Star Trek Enterprise as being kind of the Secret Service or the spy agency of the Federation. Not as such part of Starfleet, but its own secret organization. It's equivalent of the CIA or the NSA or such as that. And because of that, most of the people in the Federation don't know about it and don't know what they do. And we had expected early on in the series, when we first saw the black badges on some crewmen in the third episode, when we first had our encounter with the Discovery, that there was something odd about the people with the black badges, but they never came back to it. They never said anything about it. And while there were some fan theories that the black badges meant they might be part of Section 31, and perhaps the whole ship is part of Section 31, which we've talked about on this channel before, it's never been clear before this deleted scene comes out. Now, I'm thinking they probably deleted the scene because it didn't fit with the sighting of the Enterprise, and it would as easily go in to the first episode of the next season. So whether it was put in this season or next season is not what I'm here to talk about. There are some things that bother me about Section 31, though, that I noticed in this deleted scene. First of all, they have badges. Now, are they like James Bond, where everybody knows who's in the Secret Service? I mean, he's a spy and he's a secret agent and nobody knows who he is, but then every hotel he goes to anywhere in the world, they know what his favorite drink is and how he likes it made. Is this how our Federation Section 31 is? That's the one thing. The other thing that bothers me is that they have a Federation, a Starfleet Delta that the black badge is made from. And the Delta is definitely Starfleet. Now, let's go way back to the original series. Gene Roddenberry expected the Delta to be a representation of Starfleet, and the symbol inside the Delta was going to be the description of what division they were in. So there was the engineering division, there was the science division, there was the command division. And but the Delta was the same. Now, it got messed up. During Charlie X, they had a ship commander with a different symbol on his shirt. And the reason they did that, according to Roddenberry, was that that was merchant service and they were not Starfleet, therefore no Starfleet Delta. Well, as the show went on, especially in the second and almost completely in the third season, Roddenberry was phasing himself out of the daily operations of the show. He had only minor input in the second season and virtually no input in the third. In fact, he was off busy developing Genesis 2, later becoming Planet Earth, 2 pilots that did not sell, that would continue on his idea of the utopian society, but not in space. Neither of those worked out, but that was what he was spending most of his time working on. The only time he even visited the set during the third season was to do the IDIC badge, the Infinite Diversity and Infinite Combinations badge that Spock wore as his award for logic. And this was, no, that's not right. That's a Kolinar that he wears for logic. But anyway, this was the Idic thing that he wore to honor the telepath that was on in the 3rd season. And Roddenberry apparently had made that and wanted it to be used in the show, and it was just a quick mention, and basically it was an idea of doing some merchandising. That was when he was involved with B. Joe Trimble and Star Trek Enterprises, although he told the network that he had nothing to do with it. But that's a whole different story. Anyway, so his intention was that the Delta would indicate Starfleet. And when he wasn't looking, other directors that didn't know the difference would put different symbols, like Commodore Decker did for the Doomsday Machine, and Captain Tracy and others had different symbols rather than the Delta to indicate Starfleet. So it was an oversight on the part of the producers that it was not a Delta for everything Starfleet, for every ship in Starfleet. Now, so here we have a lot of hardcore Trek historians, presumably, on the Discovery staff. And yet they give Section 31, which, as we mentioned, is brought up first time in Deep Space Nine when they tried to recruit Dr. Bashir, and then mentioned in Enterprise. And they have a Starfleet Delta. But they're not part of Starfleet. They're part of the Federation. They're their own thing, and they're a secret society. So those are the two things that bother me, that they're doing a Starfleet symbol for their secret society, unless, they just, in the 23rd century, just don't have enough different shapes that they like to use for their organizations, and it just so happens to look like a Starfleet Delta without a star or circles or the thing, whatever the engineering symbol is called. I kind of doubt it. And then the fact that a secret agent wears one at all. This has been brought up by other people, though. I mean, why do you have a secret society where they have something where you can tell how are things going undercover there? It's kind of silly. But it's not unique. Like I said, everybody knew James Bond was a spy, except for, I don't think there was any exceptions to that. Everybody knew James Bond was a spy. Here it is, James Bond, he's 007, he can kill people. And nobody seemed to worry about whether the service was secret or not. And in the comedy side, of course, with Get Smart, virtually everybody knew about Control, but that was one of the jokes about that, was that Control was the worst kept secret in Washington. Nevertheless, those are the things that bother me about the black Delta that Section 31 is using. Now, the fact that they have given the black Delta to Giorgio and asked her to join Section 31 means that now she's going to be a spy, someone from the mirror universe that's now going to be a spy in our universe. And we already know that there are Section 31 people now aboard Discovery. Now, the idea that I have is that this whole thing of the meeting up with the Enterprise in the end of the episode, end of the season, is a red herring. It's probably going to be a one-shot thing with the Enterprise. They're going to meet Captain Pike. Somebody's going to play Pike. They're not going to show Spock. And I know everybody wants to see Spock, but people will say, well, why don't they use Zachary Quinto? Why don't they, use somebody that looks more like Leonard Nimoy? Whatever. There's too much stuff in there, I think. My opinion is that they're not going to meet Spock. It's going to be some brief little thing. It's going to take up a moment or so. And the actual plot of Season 2 probably is going to be on Section 31, and it's going to more heavily involve Giorgio and the activities of Discovery possibly are going to be related to that as well. So they don't have to worry about continuity at all, because everything they do will be top secret. And I think that's where they're going to go in the next season in order to avoid the problems that they have had so far with trying to meet continuity in canon. Now, what are your ideas? These are all just suppositions by me, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. Why not make a note in the comments? Tell me what you think. And if there's anything else you want me to talk about, we may talk about, we're going to be talking more about Farscape, we're going to be talking about The Expanse. We're going to talk about Lost in Space when it comes up fairly soon. So we have a lot to talk about on this channel. We hope that you'll become a subscriber. And if you like what you hear, also click the like button. We'd appreciate that. Till next time, don't go far.